Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are following the 18th Chopin competition. And welcome back to our new Chopin talk with three fantastic guests. I'm Alessandro Tommasi.
I'm Rachel NAOMI KUDO, and thank you so much for being with us today. Congratulations on your beautiful performances. We were so inspired. Please introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm LEONORA ARMELLINI from Italy. How could I tell to introduce myself?
Where are you living?
I live in Padova. I have two dogs, one cat, and I love Chopin.
Zoe.
Hello, I'm ZIJI ZOÉ ZHAO, and I'm from China. Now I'm living in Germany for 4 years because I study there. Yeah, I enjoy to play the piano, so that's why I come here.
That's why you're here.
Yes.
Dzień dobry, hello. My name is Andrey Zenin. I came from Russia, so I was born in Russia, and now I'm currently studying in Germany in Weimar Hochschule für Musik Franz Liszt.
Fantastic. And where are you living exactly in Germany, Zoe?
I live in Hanover.
Hanover, yes. And why did you choose to go to Germany for your studies, starting with Andrei?
So it was just like, I don't know, it's not it was like accidentally, because I was in 2016 by the Moscow International Piano Competition for Fryderyk Chopin competition in Moscow. And there was one professor who was in jury, Professor Balázs Sokolai, a very nice musician and wonderful teacher. And after competition, I asked him, so is there any kind of master courses or master classes? Could I come? So I came, and he was teaching in Germany, in Weimar Hochschule für Musik. So that's how I got to Weimar. I made my entrance exam and studied there since 2019.
Before I was studying in Beijing and in Conservatory of the Music School, and my professor, Professor Göske, he was a guest just giving master class in Beijing. And that time I couldn't get a place to have master class with him. But I went there to listen to his lessons, and I like it really much, so I just wrote him, and now I'm the student from him.
Yeah, of course. And Leonora, you also studied for a little bit in Germany, in Hamburg,
Yes,
right?
I've studied in Hamburg with Lilia Zilberstein.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And we have this starting question we usually do to all our guests, which is, we are here at the Chopin competition, of course, so it's all about Chopin's music, but is there a particular memory you have, the first impression of Chopin's music, the first time you listened to it, or you played it, or you fell in love with it? Leonora?
So it's kind of an old memory because my mom is a pianist. So I used to listen to her practicing and playing in concerts. And she was playing, I remember especially Scherzo No. 1. And she was playing it a lot. It was one of her favorite pieces to play. I remember that I was completely fascinated by the shift of emotions, like the stormy beginning and the dreamy middle part. And I was like, wow, but Chopin's music is so nice. I mean, I was really naive. I was young, but I was listening to my mom like this. Wow, I want to play this. And ironically, First Scherzo is one of Chopin's pieces that I didn't play.
Okay.
I have never played that. Maybe just because I want to keep that memory of my mom playing that. It's my mom's piece. I have
Yes.
other pieces.
Oh.
And my first Chopin piece was the Bolero.
Oh,
I
Wow.
remember, yeah, it was the Bolero.
Very
Yeah.
unusual.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice.
Yes.
It's a
It was
dance.
fun. I think it was even my first bigger piece because I was 9 years old and I was playing smaller pieces as a
Shorter, yes.
child playing the piano. And Bolero, I remember, was my first very important piece, and I took it with a lot of responsibility.
Zoe, what about you?
My parents love classical music, so my home, we have lots of CD and DVDs. And I think when I was 4 or 5 years old, I chose my very first CD to listen, and it was Chopin Nocturne from Rubinstein. And I was totally shocked, and I still remember that because I never heard the music is so elegant, so cantabile, and yeah, I think that's my first impression of his music. And my first Chopin's piece, I think it's a waltz from him. I don't really remember because it's really long time ago. Yeah, and I just love to keep playing his music. Yeah, to be like to try to sing with our instrument like a singer,
Yeah,
not
of
like
course.
a player. Yeah.
Andrei.
So as I told in this short interview for the competition, so my very first impression of Chopin music was when I was in Poland in my childhood for very little competition in Głubczyce. So of course Polish people know this place. I don't know if this competition exists for nowadays. But after that competition, I bought 3 books of Fryderyk Chopin pieces, the ballads, etudes, and nocturnes. So in this Paderewski edition,
Okay.
and I was like maybe 6 or 7 years old, so of course I could not play that music for that time. And I always tried to play something, and I was so inspired from these beautiful fancy books with this design with, there was the big letters, Chopin, National Institute of Poland.
Yes.
It was so like magic for me. Yeah, and first pieces that it was maybe this easy preludes like E minor or B minor, numbers 4 and 6. And the first big piece which I played from Chopin, it was a Fantaisie Impromptu. I played it like when I was 12, maybe 14. So that's my first impression of Chopin music. Yeah, and also I have a CD. I had a CD with Vladimir Ashkenazy recordings. There was second clavier piano concerto by Chopin. I was listening again. It was my favorite piece in my childhood.
Are you playing the second piano
Second.
concerto here?
Yeah.
So
second.
that's
Yeah,
a
so
big history behind
childhood
this.
memories.
Yes.
Yeah, dream became true.
Yes.
Do you remember the first time you heard about the competition?
Sorry.
Do you remember the first time you heard about the competition?
Yes, so it was when I was studying my bachelor in Rostov-on-Don in Russia in conservatory, and it was 2010, and that was the not previous but the two competition before. And I heard about the competition, and I followed live with stream with internet, and I was so inspired, and it was like, oh my God, I could never be there, and it is like the dream of all the life, so it was like unbelievable.
That's wonderful.
So
What-
How was it like to be here, actually?
I still cannot believe, because yesterday I was playing on the stage, and then I looked a little bit left on this organ and all this. I thought, oh my God, I'm playing on the Chopin competition.
Like
It's
you
happening
show
for
these
sure.
in video so many times, and then you're finally there, right?
Yeah,
It's like
so unbelievable.
incredible.
Actually, I will realize it afterwards, like maybe in 2 months or something like that.
Zoe, what about you?
Yeah, I've heard from Chopin competition because all the pianists I love, and I will check their biography, and everyone has won this competition. So I just memorize this competition, and I think it must be the best competition in the world. And of course, just like he said, I think it's the dream of every pianist just to come here and play on this stage.
Of course.
Leonora, what about you? You're familiar, you're quite famous with the Polish audiences. You've been here
Yes.
10 years ago,
Yeah.
and you've played a lot in Poland.
Yeah, exactly.
What does it feel like for you to come back here and to play for the Polish people?
I think it's like one of the biggest emotion I could ever feel. Yesterday, when I entered the stage, it's like I jumped in the past, but like as a different person, as a new person, and I couldn't like help but I just was smiling, and it was really a really sincere smile,
Of
because
course, yeah.
all those memories about the full hall here, like packed with people, and like reminded me of like the concerts that I play here, reminded me of 2010 edition when I was 18 years old. I was a child that was doing her like first steps into the like big music world, and of course, like emotions are a bit different now than 11 years ago. 11 years ago, everything was so new. So I had, the feeling of discovery. Like I was discovering house Chopin competition, and I was blown away by that. Absolutely, it was a totally different world for me. Now I'm still blown away by that, because it's like. For some things, it's like riding a bike because like you know how it works, but it's never the same. Like you ride a bike, but in different places every time. So yeah,
It's beautiful. Yes.
I'm really loving it. Like being here, however it will be. I don't know how it's gonna be, but I'm here for the experience. I'm here for playing here and. Being here again, and
Of course.
it's really nice.
After 11 years of more life experience, more living with Chopin, living with yourself as a pianist, do you feel that some interpretations have changed? There's some
You mean
viewpoints?
about my playing or in general?
I think in general, yeah. Or
That's
even about your playing. You
tough
know yourself
question.
more.
Yeah, about myself, I think it's changed. When I was 18, I used to hear a lot from people like, "Oh, you're so young to understand like the depth of interpretation of life. Also, you need to live in order to have more emotions to express." And I was like, "Come on! I mean, I'm 18. I'm an adult, right?"
Chopin was that age when you wrote
Exactly.
a couple pieces. So.
But I feel that Chopin at 18 years old was a little bit more mature than a typical 18 years old
Today, yeah.
of today, I think. Not talking for everybody, but I mean, in general. Of course, like, he was more mature than I was when I was 18. I mean, for sure.
Different time, 200 years ago. So.
Yeah, exactly. Right, regarding myself, I think in the last years I've been exploring like deeper into the emotions, the feeling, also like phrasing wise, that kind of things. I was playing really natural when I was 18. And natural is a good thing, but you need to go a little bit further, right? It's like a thoughtful, natural way to play. This is the way I aim to play now. I'd love to play naturally, but thoughtfully. This is my goal.
And Zoe, you spoke before about singing on the piano. Do you think that phrasing in Chopin's music is different? The way you phrase the sentences of his music is different than other composers, for example?
I think in general the music is the same thing. We have to do everything really natural and with all different of colors and to show people what we think. But for Chopin, I think it's something special because he loves to use our instrument as like a human voice. Of course, he will write anything really polyphonic, but the melody is also really important. And as you see, all the phrasing is so long, and it's like without breath taking. It's without breath between this. It's just keep continue and continue, and it must be perfect legato and cantabile. And also he got this. I think it's his spirit of the national. It's really proud, and we have to sing it like a proud people.
Andrey, what about you? Is there something that you keep in mind when you approach the music of Chopin?
So, of course, like Zoe said, it's very. I think that Chopin's phrasing and Chopin melody is very special, just because he was. So it's very, very good said that he was trying to sing on the piano, and of course he was influenced very much from the Polish national songs, and he tried to bring this all Polish culture and dancing, like in mazurkas, polonaise, and singing, because his mother was singing for him many Polish songs, and he always tried to fulfill all this big capacity of singing cantabile stuff in his music, yeah. And the most difficult and the most special for him, of course, this very, very long phrases with big, deep breath, like actually by singing, and always trying to avoid this, this bar line, this measure line, yeah? You need to count not like in 4 or like 3 in the bar, but big lines and always construct big structures. That's the most wonderful, I think. And of course, this aristocracy, yeah? So he was like real aristocrat with his manners, with his posture, and it should be also presented in his music. So you should never shout with his music, yeah? But sometimes what you can do with Liszt, of course, Liszt also genius, and not bad words for Ferenc Liszt, but Chopin is so different from him, so it should be presented in the playing, of course.
Have you ever tried to sing his music, like as an exercise in preparing
of course.
a piece?
Yeah, actually, that's very good exercise. I tried to do this with fourth ballad and with some other pieces. Yeah, but I'm a very bad singer, so I've never tried to do it in public. But I think it helps, because sometimes you even can imagine some words, some Polish words, like in his songs. For these melodies, because the melody line is very, very similar for his songs, for example.
Did you play the songs?
Yeah,
Okay.
some of them.
Very, big cycle, so.
How do you feel? I'm curious about the structure of the repertoire for the competition, because it's quite strict, very, very strict, actually, the guidelines and how you have to play 2 etudes, everybody, the nocturne and a piece of your choice. Do you find it? Do you wish you could play more, like diverse styles, or?
I think that like the guidelines for the repertoire are quite complete. Like you have to play a little bit of everything, right? And maybe you can how to say. You can choose your like 3 pieces and have more possibilities,
Freedom, yes.
more freedom. Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's nice because you have to play mazurkas, you have to play waltz, you have to play nocturne, etudes, and so on. Polonaise. You know what? I'd love to see in the guidelines also the Krakowiak and the
Also the other,
fantasy on Polish hair. Maybe even some chamber music. But
It's risky. You need to find a really good cellist too.
yeah, that's right.
Actually,
But, yeah.
there usually, quite often in other piano competitions, there is a chamber music round.
Yes.
Yeah.
But just thinking about it. But I think like it's quite a complete situation of Chopin's music. Yeah.
Of course. And Zoe, was there some piece style, we could say, like some waltz or mazurkas? How is it to prepare such a different program, but all the music from the very same composer?
Yeah. First, we have to find the history of different form of the music. Like mazurkas, when I was young, I never heard of this word because I'm Chinese. And in our culture, we don't dance mazurkas. So I have to search it online, see what's the history of it, and looking for some videos of people really dancing mazurkas, and also try to find some good recordings from the pianist and also from the other instrument, just to feel these feelings of this special dance, also like Polonaise and everything else. And yeah, we are now in 21st century. I think it's good for us that we can find everything really fast and like really everything from the internet around the world. So we can know everything just easily at home and click the computer.
You just need to search for it, yes.
And then you have to listen it like many times and to feel in this atmosphere, and then the feeling is coming. Yeah.
Fantastic. And you mentioned the recordings. Are there some recordings in particular that inspired you, some reference that you have when you practice Chopin's music?
Like before, I have some pianists. They are like I really love them, and every pianist play a lot of Chopin, most of them. and I will listening to that. And recently, I start to search some Polish pianists, some really old Polish pianists, and to feel this different style from the last century. And I think it's more.
What did you find in these old recordings?
I mean, it's from the YouTube. It's like not that famous, but it's like really old. It's some things from 50s, 60s, and yeah, it just inspired me. And because they have different kind of timing, and the color of the song is also quite special. And just like I said, there's the spirit, the Polish spirit is the most special thing in their playing. And of course, the most famous, most popular is Rubinstein. It's also he's the first Chopin player that I ever heard in my life. I think for others, also the same. And he just perfect, yeah.
His mazurkas are something
Yes.
like out of the
Yes.
world.
Everything he touches.
I think I've
yes.
Difficult
almost
to match that,
like
yes.
destroyed the CD like by listening it repeatedly. Yeah,
course.
Rubinstein mazurkas are so
Yeah,
beautiful.
it's just amazing that Rubens can play so simply, just like a child.
Yeah.
The music is just the music itself, nothing more.
Exactly.
Pure music.
In the best way.
Yes.
Possible, in the best form.
And Andrei, was Rubinstein a major reference also for you?
So it was one of the main references for me, of course, but I also enjoyed some other recordings, and from Polish side, for example, Rafał Blechacz, it's very good for me, and Christian Zimmermann, of course, and Daniel Trifonov from the previous edition, or the
Two editions.
it's 2010 or 2015.
2010.
2010. But so going back to the, because I was thinking about this concept of competition, and I find it's wonderful that it's only Chopin music, and it's only the concept of the pure Chopin, never changing through the ages. That's very, actually, maybe one competition which keeping this tradition constantly. Maybe in the final you also could have some choice, because Chopin write other pieces for orchestra and piano as well. Yeah, but I think in general the rules is very good, and there is option to choose some interesting repertoire, not so known for big public, like there is also Fugue, Amol from Chopin by Chopin, and like Bolero, some rarely played pieces, but you're always thinking like, okay, if I will choose this one, maybe it's not so good for competition, what will they think, and so on. But I hope in future it will be more like dedicated for this unknown Chopin music, because all music from Chopin is wonderful. Just
Yes.
Actually, in 2010, I remember that I put in my repertoire choice, I put the Bolero. And then some guys were telling me, no, you better not play Bolero, and so.
That's why.
And then they convinced me, but now thinking back, I think I
should have,
would
yeah.
love
Of course.
to have played that. Yeah.
It's something that is quite tricky, because we're very much aware that it's not a concert.
Yes.
Unfortunately,
that's the mistake, because of course all competitors, all pianists, they are like considering a competition like a competition, and I should play like on the competition. I should like make no mistake, technical performance and all on this place. But that's all. We need to play music. Of course, it's sometimes. And with such circumstances as stress and so big audience, and for first time I experienced such big hall for first time.
Okay.
I mean, I played, of course, like Hamamatsu competition, but this one is the biggest one, and it's always a big stress to handle with it. It's really very hard. So I think, first of all, the music should be on the first place. For if you want to speak something with your music, please speak. Don't think about rules, regulations, and others.
What will the jury think if I do this instead of this?
Yeah, so I do believe that jury, the big musicians, and they were, so like half of them, they were like on the competition, and they know how it is to feel yourself during the competition. So they're good, and I enjoy that there is a big board of jury, like 17 members. It's very nice, because it's maybe the biggest jury in the world. Yeah. I think so.
And that's why I think also why we shouldn't think about playing like this, because maybe it's such a big jury that
Yeah, it's impossible. You don't have one single music idea.
I mean, Yeah.
need to comply to.
So yeah, I completely agree with you.
So I just met one time on the competition. I met pianists who like listened to all recordings of each jury, trying to find the perfect receipt to like to make the perfect performance. This, yeah.
It's
so
like when
it's
they
quite-
try to like Photoshop the perfect face based
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the features.
yeah, yeah.
But
Like,
then it's
Something like that.
becomes something
It
really
becomes
strange.
kind of
Yes,
creepy, yeah.
unnatural. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Exactly.
Zoe, was also the first time you were in such a big hall with such a huge audience.
Yeah, of course. I think it's we have the really big hall here, and the audience is almost full. They're like everybody sitting here, and they are really nice to. They're accepting all the pianists here, no matter if we make mistake or anything. But they just give back a really good feedback, and this for us it's really warm and friendly. It's feeling like when we are walking on the stage, it's like we are home. Not like everybody's judging us, but it's like welcome back.
Yes.
Yeah, so I love the atmosphere here, and I love this warm feeling from the hall and also from the audience. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, we had it in this Chopin talk a lot of times, this warm, this heat from the public, the audience here in Warsaw. And I was amazed by the fact that already in such a preliminary part of the competition, it's packed with people. It's so much people just following the competition. And they keep for hours, like 10 hours a day in the hall, and they listen the entire time at everybody, completely absorbed at what happens on the piano. So that's really fantastic, yes. So, we have 1 minute before we go back to our competition.
What is the next piece you're looking forward to for your next round? The one piece you're most excited to play?
we were talking about strange repertoire choices. So if I go further, of course, as an Italian, I'm quite superstitious, so I don't want to
say
think
it,
about
to
it.
jinx
But the sostenuto in E flat major.
Okay.
This is
Unusual.
my little
Jewel,
choice. Yeah,
yes.
my little jewel. Yeah.
Zoe?
I would like to play my Polonaise. I will play 2 Polonaise next round, and Polonaise Fantasy is a bit special for me.
Wow.
I have deep memories of that, so I will like to play.
So for me, it's maybe the Mazurka A-moll for Emile Gayat. This one of the last from Chopin, and it's also not so oftenly played. But last competition it was played. But I'm looking forward to play this piece if I could, if I would be able to. Of course, it's also very special for me with big memories from the past.
Sounds
Thank you.
beautiful. We
Really-
look forward to it. Yeah.
Definitely. So
Really
thank you so much for being our guest today.
Thank you.
Thank
and
you.
looking forward to your next performances. Thank you, and thank you for following us on Chopin Talk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sponsorem programu jest PKN Orlen, mecenas 18. Międzynarodowego Konkursu Pianistycznego